Imagine standing on the shore of an ancient world. There are no cities on the horizon, no birds flying overhead, no flowers covering the land. Even the continents look nothing like they do today. The earth is almost unrecognizable. The oceans are filled with creatures unlike anything most people have ever seen, while strange reptiles and giant insects have yet to make their appearance. Life is still writing the earliest chapters of an extraordinary story. Over the next hundreds of millions of years, this planet will experience unimaginable disasters. Entire mountain ranges will rise from the sea. Supercontinents will form and break apart. The climate will swing between worlds of fire and worlds of ice. Massive volcanic eruptions will darken the skies. An asteroid will strike with enough force to change the history of life forever. 5 great mass extinctions will erase most species from existence. More than 99% of every species that has ever lived will eventually disappear. Almost everything will be lost. Almost. Because while entire worlds vanished, a few remarkable survivors refused to disappear. Some watched the first forests grow. Some lived before the dinosaurs even existed. Others survived the very event that ended the age of dinosaurs. They have witnessed hundreds of millions of years of Earth's history. And incredibly, they are still alive today. Welcome back to... Today, we're not simply counting down 10 fascinating animals. We're taking a journey across deep time to discover 10 prehistoric creatures whose ancient lineages survived, while countless others vanished forever. These are not dinosaurs. In many ways, their story is even more extraordinary, because extinction was never guaranteed. Survival had to be earned. Let's begin. At first glance, this tiny creature hardly looks like one of the greatest survivors in Earth's history. Most people would probably mistake it for an ordinary crustacean. But appearances can be incredibly deceptive. The body plan has existed for well over 200 million years. When its distant ancestors were already crawling through temporary pools, dinosaurs had only just begun their rise across the planet. During that unimaginable span of time, continents drifted across the globe, climates changed again and again, and countless species disappeared forever. Yet this remarkable design endured. Its secret wasn't incredible strength. It wasn't speed. It wasn't intelligence. It was adaptation. Lives in temporary pools of water that may exist for only a few weeks before completely disappearing beneath the sun. For most animals, that would mean certain death, but evolved a solution that almost seems impossible. Its eggs can survive inside completely dry soil for years, patiently waiting for rain to return. The world around them may become a lifeless landscape of cracked earth and dust. Then one storm arrives. The water returns. And within days, a new generation emerges as if time itself had simply paused. It is one of nature's most extraordinary survival strategies. Instead of escaping disaster, simply waits for it to end. That strategy has carried its lineage through dramatic environmental changes that eliminated countless other organisms. It reminds us of an important lesson. Evolution doesn't always reward the biggest or the strongest. Sometimes, it rewards those capable of surviving the impossible. And our next survivor did something even more extraordinary. It helped tell the story of how life itself began preparing to leave the oceans. Australian lungfish. Hundreds of millions of years ago, Earth looked nothing like the world we know today. Most complex life still lived beneath the surface of ancient seas. The continents were largely barren. There were no forests stretching across the landscape. No mammals. No birds. Life had not yet fully conquered the land. Among the creatures swimming through those ancient waters were the ancestors of today's lungfish. The Australian lungfish belongs to one of the oldest surviving fish lineages on Earth. Unlike most fish, it possesses something extraordinary. Alongside its gills, it has a true lung capable of breathing atmospheric air. That single adaptation offers a glimpse into one of evolution's greatest turning points. Long before vertebrates began walking across dry land, some ancient fish were already developing ways to survive in oxygen-poor environments. Scientists believe that animals closely related to ancient lungfish shared important characteristics with the distant ancestors of every amphibian, reptile, bird, and mammal alive today, including us. In a very real sense, creatures like this represent one of the earliest chapters in our own evolutionary story. The Australian lungfish can live for many decades, with some individuals surviving longer than 70 years. It moves through the water with an almost peaceful confidence. There's no rush, no frantic chase. It swims as though time itself means very little. Perhaps that's because its lineage has already survived something far greater than any predator. It survived time, and compared to the incredible survivor waiting next, even this ancient fish is only the beginning of our journey. Nautilus, far beneath the surface of the tropical Pacific and Indian Oceans, lives a creature that seems almost untouched by time. Its beautiful spiral shell has fascinated explorers, scientists, and collectors for centuries. But its true story began long before humans ever existed. Long before the first dinosaurs walked the Earth. Long before trees covered the continents. The ancient ancestors of the Nautilus were already exploring Earth's oceans nearly 500 million years ago. That means this extraordinary lineage has survived almost every major chapter in the history of complex life. While countless marine predators appeared and disappeared, the Nautilus continued its slow journey through the deep. Unlike octopuses and squids, it never abandoned its external shell. Inside that shell are dozens of chambers, each serving a remarkable purpose. By carefully controlling the amount of gas and liquid inside these chambers, the Nautilus can rise or sink through the water with incredible precision. It is one of nature's oldest and most elegant buoyancy systems. Its large eyes may seem primitive compared to those of modern cephalopods. It isn't the fastest hunter. It isn't the strongest. And it certainly isn't the... Yet while more advanced species vanished forever, the Nautilus endured. Sometimes evolution doesn't reward becoming more complex. Sometimes it rewards finding a design that simply works. Generation after generation, age after age, the Nautilus quietly survived while entire worlds changed around it. But our next survivor is even more extraordinary because it represents the last remaining member of a family that once lived alongside the earliest dinosaurs. Tuatara. Imagine being the last survivor of an entire branch of the tree of life. Not simply the last member of a species, the last representative of an entire order of reptiles. That is exactly what the Tuatara is. Found only on a handful of islands in New Zealand, this remarkable animal often resembles an ordinary lizard. But appearances can be deceiving. The Tuatara is not a lizard at all. Its closest relatives disappeared tens of millions of years ago, leaving it completely alone as the final representative of an ancient lineage that first appeared more than 250 million years ago. When the ancestors of the Tuatara first emerged, dinosaurs had only just begun evolving. As giant reptiles spread across the planet, the Tuatara's ancestors quietly survived alongside them. Then came the asteroid. The age of dinosaurs ended. Entire ecosystems collapsed. Yet somehow, this ancient lineage endured. Even today, the Tuatara still preserves characteristics rarely seen in modern reptiles. It grows extremely slowly. It can live for well over 100 years. Its metabolism is unusually low, and it remains active at temperatures that would leave many other reptiles almost motionless. Perhaps its most fascinating feature is a small, light-sensitive organ on the top of its head, often called a third eye. Although it cannot see images with it, scientists believe this ancient structure helps regulate seasonal rhythms and biological cycles. It is another reminder that the Tuatara carries pieces of an evolutionary world that has almost completely disappeared. Looking into its eyes feels less like observing a reptile, and more like meeting a survivor from another age. Yet our next creature didn't hide away on isolated islands. It became one of the largest predators ever to survive into the modern world. Alligator Gar. At first glance, it almost looks like something created for a dinosaur movie. A body covered in thick armored scales. A long, powerful snout lined with rows of razor-sharp teeth. Slow movements. Cold, patient eyes. If someone claimed this animal had escaped from the age of dinosaurs, many people would believe it without hesitation. The alligator gar belongs to one of the oldest surviving groups of ray-finned fish on Earth. Its ancient ancestors were already swimming through prehistoric rivers, while giant reptiles dominated much of the planet. Unlike most modern fish, its body is protected by heavy diamond-shaped scales that fit together like natural armor. These scales are so incredibly strong that early settlers reportedly struggled to cut through them with ordinary knives. But armor is only part of its survival story. The alligator gar can also breathe atmospheric air. When oxygen levels become dangerously low, it simply rises to the surface and gulps air into a highly specialized swim bladder that functions much like a primitive lung. That remarkable adaptation allows it to survive in waters where many other large fish would eventually suffocate. It is also an incredibly patient hunter. Rather than constantly chasing prey, it often remains almost perfectly still, waiting, watching, saving energy. Then, in a fraction of a second, it explodes forward with astonishing speed, capturing its prey before it has any chance to react. It is a strategy that has remained effective for millions of years. The alligator gar proves that survival isn't always about becoming faster or stronger. Sometimes, the greatest advantage is knowing exactly when to move. And compared to the creature waiting next, even this prehistoric predator is still a relatively recent arrival in Earth's incredible history. The horseshoe crab. If time itself had a symbol, it might look something like this. The horseshoe crab has crawled across the Earth's shallow coastlines for more than 450 million years. To truly understand how extraordinary that is, imagine this. When the ancestors of the horseshoe crab first appeared, the first trees had not yet evolved. There were no dinosaurs, no birds, no mammals. Life on land was only beginning to establish itself. Yet somehow, this ancient survivor endured through every major chapter that followed. It survived all 5 of Earth's great mass extinctions. Events so catastrophic they wiped out most life on the planet. Entire ecosystems disappeared. Countless species vanished forever. But the horseshoe crab continued its slow journey across the ocean floor. Its appearance has become so iconic that many people assume it is simply a giant crab. In reality, it isn't a true crab at all. It is more closely related to spiders and scorpions than to the crabs we see today. Its hard protective shell, powerful tail spine, and simple but incredibly effective body plan have required surprisingly few fundamental changes across immense stretches of evolutionary time. But perhaps its greatest contribution is happening right now. Its blue blood contains unique cells capable of detecting dangerous bacterial toxins. For decades, scientists have relied on this remarkable property to help ensure the safety of vaccines, intravenous medicines, and many medical devices used around the world. A creature that survived hundreds of millions of years is now helping protect human lives. Its story reminds us that survival is not only about the past. Sometimes, it shapes the future as well. Yet hidden even deeper beneath the ocean lies a predator whose appearance has barely changed since prehistoric times. A frilled shark. If someone asked you to imagine a real sea monster, you might picture something remarkably similar to this. The frilled shark is one of the strangest predators still swimming through Earth's oceans. Its long eel-like body, primitive skull, and nearly 300 needle-shaped teeth make it look as though it escaped from another geological era. And in many ways, it did. The lineage behind the frilled shark stretches back tens of millions of years and preserves characteristics that closely resemble some of the earliest sharks known to science. Unlike modern sharks built for speed, the frilled shark relies on stealth. It spends much of its life hundreds of meters below the surface, where sunlight barely reaches, and the ocean remains almost unchanged from age to age. Its jaws can open surprisingly wide, allowing it to swallow prey nearly half its own size. Instead of attacking with explosive bursts of speed, it often drifts silently through the darkness before striking with sudden precision. Very few people will ever see one alive. Most encounters happen only when deep-sea fishing accidentally brings one to the surface. And every time it happens, the reaction is almost always the same: disbelief, because it doesn't look like a modern animal. It looks prehistoric. It reminds us that while humans transformed the surface of the Earth, the deep ocean quietly preserved ancient worlds that still exist today. But the next survivor doesn't hide beneath the sea. It walks across tropical forests, looking almost exactly like one of the dinosaurs that once ruled the planet. Cassowary. Imagine walking alone through a rainforest. Suddenly, the bushes begin to move. A towering bird steps into view, nearly 2 meters tall. Powerful legs, massive claws, a bright blue skin, a helmet-like casque covering its head. And for a brief moment, it feels less like meeting a bird and more like coming face to face with a living dinosaur. The cassowary is often described as one of the closest living reminders of the great theropod dinosaurs. Not because it remained unchanged for millions of years, but because modern birds themselves evolved directly from small feathered dinosaurs. Every cassowary carries that ancient heritage. Its legs are among the most powerful of any bird alive today. Each foot carries an enormous dagger-like claw capable of inflicting devastating injuries if the animal feels threatened. Despite its intimidating appearance, the cassowary usually avoids conflict. It spends much of its life quietly moving through dense tropical forests, feeding on fruit and helping spread the seeds of countless plant species. In fact, many rainforest trees depend on large birds like the cassowary to transport their seeds across the forest. Without them, entire ecosystems would begin to change. It is a fascinating reminder that ancient lineages don't simply survive. They continue shaping the world around them. Watching a cassowary disappear into the rainforest is perhaps the closest experience we have to watching a small dinosaur walk back into the prehistoric world. And yet, even this extraordinary bird cannot match the survivor waiting next. Because unlike birds, our next creature watched the dinosaurs rise, rule the earth, and disappear. Crocodile. Long before humans built the first cities, long before mammoths walked across frozen landscapes, even before the asteroid ended the reign of the dinosaurs. The ancestors of today's crocodiles were already among the planet's most successful predators. Their lineage stretches back more than 200 million years. Throughout that unimaginable span of time, the Earth transformed again and again. Continents drifted apart. Mountain ranges rose toward the sky. Entire oceans disappeared. The climate shifted between extremes of unbearable heat and global ice. And still, the crocodile endured. Its survival was never based on becoming the biggest animal on Earth, nor the fastest. Instead, evolution refined a design that was already remarkably efficient. It's a powerful armored body, one of the strongest bite forces ever measured in the animal kingdom. Eyes, ears, and nostrils positioned on top of the head, allowing it to remain almost completely hidden beneath the water while observing everything around it. Patience became its greatest weapon. A crocodile can remain almost perfectly motionless for hours. It wastes almost no energy. It waits for the perfect opportunity. Then, in a fraction of a second, it explodes into action with astonishing speed. This strategy has worked for millions upon millions of years. While countless predators evolved and disappeared, the crocodile continued doing almost exactly what it had always done. It became one of evolution's greatest success stories. But remarkable as that is, our final survivor possesses an even more unbelievable story. Because for decades, scientists believed it no longer existed. A coelacanth. Imagine opening a science textbook in the early 20th century. Every expert agrees on one thing: the coelacanth is extinct. Its fossils appear in ancient rocks. Its story, everyone believed, ended around 66 million years ago alongside the dinosaurs. Case closed. Or so they thought. Then came December of 1938. Off the coast of South Africa, a fishing trawler returned with its daily catch. Among hundreds of ordinary fish was something no one recognized. Its strange fins looked almost like primitive limbs. Its thick scales resembled ancient fossils. Its body seemed completely out of place in the modern world. Museum curator immediately realized something extraordinary had happened. Against every scientific expectation, the coelacanth was alive. One of the greatest zoological discoveries of the 20th century had just taken place. A creature believed extinct for tens of millions of years had quietly survived in the deep ocean all along. Today we know that the coelacanth belongs to one of the oldest surviving lineages of lobe-finned fish. Its fleshy paired fins provide scientists with valuable clues about one of evolution's greatest transitions: the movement from water onto land. Although it is not a direct ancestor of humans, it represents a branch of the evolutionary tree astonishingly close to that ancient chapter. Living hundreds of meters below the surface, the coelacanth spends much of its life moving slowly through underwater caves and volcanic slopes. It is in no hurry, perhaps because its lineage has already survived events beyond imagination. When we look at a coelacanth, we are not simply observing an unusual fish. We are looking at a survivor that fooled science itself. A reminder that even after centuries of exploration, our planet can still surprise us. And perhaps that is the most incredible lesson of all. The ancient world never completely disappeared. Some of it simply found places where time moves a little more slowly. When most people think about prehistoric life, they imagine fossils locked inside stone, skeletons displayed in museums, or giant dinosaurs that vanished millions of years ago. But the truth is far more fascinating. Prehistoric life never completely disappeared. It is still swimming beneath the waves, still hiding in remote rivers, still walking through dense forests, still surviving. Every one of these remarkable creatures is a living chapter of Earth's history. They remind us that evolution is not a straight path toward perfection. It is a story of adaptation, of resilience, of surviving when almost everything else is lost. Perhaps somewhere on our planet, another ancient survivor is still waiting to be discovered. If you enjoyed this journey through deep time, don't forget to subscribe for more documentaries exploring the most extraordinary stories our world has to offer. Until next time, keep exploring, because reality is often far more incredible than fiction.